All right, welcome everyone to Poetry Thursday. Today I'm featuring someone who he's a poet, but he's also known as being a novelist and an essayist as well. And the person I'm talking about, of course, not of course, because I don't know why you'd know, but is Wendell Berry. And I just have a couple of his sets of novels here. And so these are Library of America editions, and they I've talked about this before, but I just really love these. They've produced all his books and short stories in like chronological narrative order rather than publication order, and he worked with them on this. And so these are the first two volumes, and I think they're working on a third volume. I don't know when that will be released, but I don't know. I just think these are really cool. And Wendell Berry is now, I think he's 91. I was looking him up, and he's still alive. Um, so I don't know when exactly the third volume will come out, but I don't own any of his works of poetry. I've read his poetry. I've gotten them from the library before. I would say in order, I'm a big fan of fiction, so I would say his novels are my favorite. I've not read all of them, and I'm waiting to go through these volumes and read his complete works till later in the year, just because the second half of this year I'm focusing solely on American literature pretty much, and he kind of comes in at the end of the list of authors I'm going to read because I'm reading them in chronological order. But I'm excited to do that. I like his fiction the best probably, and then his essays, and then his poems would probably come in third for me, but that's not because I don't enjoy his poems. I'm less of a fan of poetry than I am of fiction or essays. But this is Poetry Thursday, so I'm here to talk poems. And so I did look up one of his poems, and I wrote it down. But before I read that, while we're on the subject of the Library of America and Wendell Berry, on February 20th through 22nd, the Library of America is releasing a new documentary about the life and works of Wendell Berry. And I'm on their email list, and so I got an email saying I could RSVP for a free screening of it. And you can watch it anytime from the 20th through the 22nd. So you have like a 3-day window there to watch it for free. And then I don't know if it's going into theaters after that, or if it's on demand, or how they're exactly going about that. But it's a great opportunity. If you're not on their email list, I'll leave a link to the RSVP sign up thing that I got, and maybe that'll work. Or otherwise, maybe if you're interested in seeing it, you could sign up for their email list. Like I said, it's free, and the Library of America does a lot of cool stuff. So I'm looking really forward to that. So I'm going to watch that in the next few days whenever I get a chance to. Now, Wendell Berry, he's from rural Kentucky, and all of his fiction and poetry is kind of set around Kentucky. He writes about a fictional town called Port Williams in all of his novels, and his novels just kind of go through the history of that town. But he's also a rural farmer himself, so he's kind of been he's very tied into the land. I'm sure he's not farming at this point in his life, but he did a lot of farming, small farming. I think he plowed with horses. He did all kinds of stuff like that, and he's been very active in the environmentalist movement as well. And so this poem that I'm reading is reflective of that. It's reflective of the land, of working the land, and also of ancestry and our connection to the past through the land, but also through our actual ancestors. And so it's just a short little poem, and it's called "Song in a excuse me, Song in a Year of Catastrophe" by Wendell Berry. And I wet and put my hands into the ground, and they took root and grew into a season's harvest. I looked behind the veil of the leaves and heard voices that I knew had been dead in my tongue years before my birth. I learned the dark. I let go all holds then, and sank like a hopeless swimmer into the earth, and at last came forth fully into the ease and joy of that place, all my lost ones returning. And that's from a 1971 collection of his poems called Farming, a Handbook, which is a pretty awesome named for a collection of poetry. But that's that poem, and so as you can see, it's very connected to the land and his ancestry. I did really like that line in it. It just kind of popped out. I learned the dark, uh, because often when we think of darkness, or we talk about the dark now, it has a very negative connotation for us, right? That's how we're thinking of it. But the dark in the past, often when we talk about dark, like we're in the dark about something, it's more of an unknowing or a mystery, and kind of embracing that mystery to the past, which we can do, through our ancestry. We don't know all our ancestors, but there's ways to be connected with them. Sorry. And I always think literature is also a great way to connect with the past, or it could be poetry or novels or all those things. I'm always very very interested in that, and I really appreciate what Wendell Berry does. So I hope if everyone gets a chance, if you're interested, just check out that documentary, or check out some of his writing. He's got something for everybody, whether it's fiction or nonfiction or poetry. Yeah, check him out. He's a great guy, and he's probably my favorite living author, I would say. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time.